All right, awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. We've got 5 amazing, wonderful, fantastic, just great speakers tonight that are going to talk to you about their disciplines. And the disciplines that we're going to cover are UX design, UX writing, UX research, content strategy, and conversational design. So if you're new to UX and you're like, what is possible here? I've only heard about UX design, then this is great because you get to learn a little bit about all of the different paths. If you don't know what a lightning talk is basically like a presentation, but instead of lasting 20 to 45 minutes, it's super condensed. So it'll be just about 5 minutes long. So without further ado, let's begin just going over the agenda real quick, and then we'll start the talks. So who's hosting tonight? Tonight, this talk series is going to be hosted by ladies at UX Seattle. If I pause, it's because I feel a sneeze coming, but it doesn't want to come out. So we'll see if it stays there and if it shows up. So Ladies at UX Seattle is an inclusive chapter of Ladies at UX, and we are based in Seattle. Yay, obvious naming. And we invite just anyone who's interested in the world of UX to come to our events, to learn, to grow, and to either break into their first job or improve in their career. And we also just ask that you are respectful and kind to others. You will meet people from around the world in our events, so be open-minded to the different types of people that you might encounter. If you have any issues tonight or you feel uncomfortable, feel free to send me a private message in Zoom. So just go to the chat and change it from everyone to Rosie Olivar and send me a message, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. Okay, and with that, we are going to just move right on over to lightning talks. So our first speaker tonight is going to be Khyati. Khyati is going to talk a little bit about UX design. Oh, do I have a? I can't switch the slides. Hold on, sorry. Yeah, we're gonna have 5 speakers, and the first speaker for the night is going to be Khyati. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen, and then you can start sharing your screen, and we'll get rolling.
All right, let me make sure stuff is working, because that is the most hardest part with technology. Okay, so share. Okay, I see my slides are here. Okay, can everyone see my slides?
Yeah.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Khyati Shah. The way it's pronounced is Khyati, and then you just put it all together. I am an experienced design leader at Rocket Companies. I'm more like a multidisciplinary design leader. I have like about a little over a decade's worth of experience in design, and I've worked in like across multiple different industries, starting from advertising. I really not like advertising, but branding, UX, and just automotive UX, enterprise design. And what really makes me tick is like understanding what makes people tick, and just like creating things that help make people's life better. So that's a little background about me. I did my master's in interaction design from CCS. I know someone mentioned interaction design. I'm really into systems thinking and using that to create, build creative organizations. So we can talk more about that in our breakout rooms if anyone's interested. But let me just dive into the topic for today, which is UX. What is UX? I'm sure for everyone who's already on this call has some idea about what UX is. You probably are a UX designer or a writer. So there's like a lot of different lenses through which you can see UX, and there's not one clear path. That's the beauty of UX. It's just basically how a human experiences a product or a service. To put it very simply, you'll see a lot of different Venn diagrams, like this pie charts and things like that explain it. But this is how I understand UX, and I'm just going to break it down into 3 very basic things. To begin with, UX is all about understanding the humans. So this is where my research friends would definitely, huge shout out to them. It's about using different user research methods to understand really who is going to be using this product or service, whether it's an app or it's like a computer screen, a small mobile app, or anything like that. The possibilities are endless, and we're growing to be a more and more digital world. So it's really important to understand that the things that are being created for people to be using like day to day, that we're making them mindfully, and it's really not hampering their day-to-day life, so they're not spending more time understanding the interfaces, but actually living their life where the interface is just kind of supporting them. So it's through user research and the different methods that you actually understand and unlock the underlying need for the human. So for example, ordering pet food, like Rosie just did on maybe that DoorDash, it's a need. There's a need that was identified that, hey, this is a tool that people would like to use, would help solve a problem for people, and that's why we should make it. So we understand that only by doing user research and making sure that we're constantly in touch with what the users or the humans' needs are. The next step, oops, I went backwards. The next important part of UX is collaboration with partners. So UX is not one, I take something home and work on it myself and come back and show, and it's like, voila, problems are solved. No, it's sticky. It involves a lot of conversation, especially with your technology and product and business partners, because again, it's about humans and solving problems for humans. And there are lots of different methods that you can use to collaborate with partners meaningfully. Whiteboarding, facilitation, and workshops is one way UX comes into play to kind of support this collaboration. Last but not the least is designing for the humans. Everything that you decide collaboratively with your partners, this is how you transform it or translate all the human needs into like visual wireframes, sketches, maps of kinds, storyboards, prototypes, or like any kind of design elements that will serve as something that technology would use to build, and then you constantly iterate on it. So in a nutshell, UX is about these three very key things. Of course, this is an oversimplification of things, but this is how I would summarize it. If you have any more questions, you can reach out to my LinkedIn. I'm sure Rosie will be sharing it out. But yeah, looking forward to the breakout rooms. I will stop sharing now. Back to you, Rosie.
Thank you. Feels like a news anchor, like back to you. I will post Khyati's LinkedIn. Up next, we're going to have Jenna. Jenna's going to walk us through a little bit about UX writing. So Jenna, whenever you're ready, feel free to start sharing. And
thank you. Hi, everybody. Let me know if you can see my deck all right on the screen. Thumbs up. Cool. Like I said, thanks for being here. Excited to talk and go through this quick little deck with y'all. So just to reintroduce myself, my name is Jenna. In a past life, I was a creative copywriter in the advertising industry, and I luckily was able to make a really awesome transition into the UX field around 3 years ago. So I am a little bit newer to the field compared to some of my colleagues, but I like to think that we're all work in progresses, and it's good for us to be that always together and always working to improve ourselves. One of the great things that I love about UX and what helped me transition into this field is my passion for a couple of themes in life, which the first being community and the second being empathy. And I'd really say that while working in the field of UX, I encourage everybody to move through your work and all the experiences that you're creating and crafting with this lens and this focus on empathy. And we do that by listening to our users, really listening and taking in what they're telling us, breaking it down and responding to that need with a solution that really bears witness to what they're asking us for, because at the end of the day, there's nothing better than creating a solution for a user in this job. I wanted to find a really simplistic definition of UX writing, and I thought this quotation did it well, that it's really the practice of crafting that copy that helps guide our users and helps them interact with our product or our service, and complete, again, the tasks that they really need to complete or desire to complete. And as a writer, there's a lot to do, like any other UX role, and there's a lot of things to keep your eyes on. The most important to me being, keeping an eye on how users are interacting with your product or your service, really paying attention to what they're doing, looking and keeping an eye out for those places where clarity is lacking and how you can support or create solutions for that struggle. Collaborating with subject matter experts who ultimately are going to be a huge support to you in making sure that you have that clarity, and ultimately that your message is being approached and created in the right way. And of course, we always want to validate what we're assuming users need from us with research, and ultimately helping create and maintain alignment across our product team, from designers to researchers to the subject matter experts and beyond. And like any other UX role, there's a lot of tasks that you have to consider and keep in mind and you want to execute on. So the most important being creating clear and plain language that the users can interact with and that is incredibly accessible to all users. We want to initiate user research and be hungry for answers and look for that with curious minds to see how we can better support users, even when we're not necessarily sure what the problems are. We also, like I said before, we want to stay close with SMEs and stay aligned with them to make sure we're on task and all aligned with the biggest goal here, and that is supporting the user in the way that they need. And then ultimately, of course, like I said before, alignment across the team. You want to validate those decisions and make sure everyone is on the same page and aligning on those decisions by supporting them with design and content heuristics that are really like the backbone of what we're doing. Ultimately, I feel like one of the biggest messages that should be put out there in UX is that we are the voice for the people who can't be at the table. We want to be thinking about all of those different users who don't always have the opportunity to express what is lacking in their experiences. And we want to keep our eyes open and be aware of anything from accessibility to equality in the experience. We really want to make sure that we're standing up for our users, because that's ultimately what we're here for. So just, circling back, empathy is one of the most important parts of this work. Empathy for the users is what ultimately creates better experiences. And by first practicing that empathy, I think it can help everyone do their job even better. I've included a list of some people, some thought leaders, content and UX writers who I really look up to and respect and admire. I know this slide is only here for a moment, but I'm happy to share this because they're all really awesome people and are constantly sharing very thoughtful and inquisitive things. Thank you for your time. And like Khyati said before me, I'm happy to connect on LinkedIn, and I'm really excited for breakout rooms. So back to you, Rosie.
All right, thank you. So we're just going to keep this news anchor thing going. Got it. Thanks so much for that, Jenna. So up next, we're going to have Madison. Madison's going to be, Madison is ready to go. Oh, you know what? I'm not even going to introduce Madison. Madison, go for it.
Oh man. Okay. Well, hi there, everybody. I have you on two different things, but I'm seeing you guys. But I just wanted to say hi, I'm Madison. My journey, I started out studying biomedical engineering actually in college in hopes of working in the prosthetic industry. I soon realized that I wanted a stronger connection and more empathy-driven career path. And so I decided after my first year studying biomedical, I was going to make that transition. And that's when I found user experience and what that was. After graduating with a UX degree, in communication and design, I continue to have that passion for transforming small ideas into big outcomes. And as a design researcher here, I get to dive deep into the mental models of users. So that's a little bit about me. Oh no. There we go. So like I said, I'm a recent graduate from the Milwaukee School of Engineering. I found that Milwaukee is actually like a really common, cool place. So that's why I mentioned that. I'm an associate design researcher here. I started out as an intern actually, and worked my way to somehow being hired on full time. And then my kind of motto that I live by is the one bite at a time. And I'm more than happy to kind of walk through how I came across that and how that helps me kind of not to take on too many big projects at once where it consumes you and you can't, you know, kind of like see the light at the end of the tunnel, and just take things one bite at a time. So what is design research? So I kind of have said that the study of interaction between a user and design. And so it's the process, the purpose is to gain that insight between those behaviors, those attitudes, and those emotions. And design researchers all have that same goal. And not only is it, like Jenna said, to really cater to the user and identify those pain points and keep what they love about an experience, but it's also to provide direction and confidence in product decisions with the team that you're collaborating with. And the two types of research that I'm more than happy to dive deep into and breakout rooms or ask questions about is the generative research and explorative research. Those are two different methodologies that I've had some experience with and can definitely give insight in kind of like how I've experienced those. So what does a UX researcher do? So first, I and the other researchers that I work with explore like those pain points that a user experiences while interacting with a product, a service, or an experience in of itself. Then I collaborate with stakeholders and designers and product managers. And the goal that we have in coming together is to understand that problem space and identifying maybe one main research question. And that's going to be kind of our North Star. And that's going to make sure that we're all aligned in kind of like fulfilling that research like goal. And that brings us into the interview and testing with participants. And this is just one option or kind of like way of doing research and interacting with those users and participants is like interviews. And so you can apply one methodology or you can apply a lot or a few, and that's mixed methods. And that's going to kind of be what we test, and ultimately that's going to be like a prototype or kind of if it's an interview exploring.
Thank you. Yeah, no problem.
Mental models. No worries. So that brings us then into the analyze findings, and that's going to be taking the time to really like use a whiteboard space, whether that be digitally or physically or mentally. Chicken Scratch has its powers, and it's identifying those patterns and behaviors and attitudes, as well as emotions. And so that's kind of like the analyze and synthesis phase of UX research. And then the last is to come back together with those stakeholders and those designers and those product managers that I originally met with. And I provide feedback and recommendations that designers can implement based on research findings. So it's taking the users' thoughts and emotions and et cetera, and kind of like bringing them into the next iteration. And on my bookshelf, these were just a few of my books that I have. I've moved, so I actually have no idea where they are. But when I was like studying in college, I definitely always used these to really drive my confidence and understanding of like where I wanted to be. And one of them was Orchestrating Experiences, Collaborative Design for Complexity. A second one was Atomic Design, and lastly was Writing for Designers. So those were a few books on my bookshelf. And like everyone here, I'm definitely really happy to connect on LinkedIn. Feel free to, I feel like anyone that sends me an invite, I'll know that you guys are from here. So happy to connect, and I'll see you guys in the breakout rooms.
Thanks so much, Madison. All right. Well, just a friendly reminder to stay on mute while speakers are speaking so that we can hear them clearly. Up next, we have Cathleen. Cathleen is going to teach us a little bit about content strategy and what is that thing? What do you do with all those words on the internet, Kathleen?
That's right. Let me get my timer going here. All right, and deck. Whoops. Okay, the obligatory, can everybody see my deck? Can everybody hear me? I think we're good. Hi, I'm Kathleen. I'm a content strategist. I started life as a freelance writer and editor and transitioned into magazine editing. And then I landed as a writer on a content strategy team. And now I'm a strategist. So it's really hard to do one and not the other. So, and I'm gonna talk about today what the heck is content strategy. We create a lot of content on the internet. As of December of last year, there were over 1.9 billion websites on the internet. In almost every case, people are coming to websites for words. Most people are not going to see your fancy hero image. They are coming for the words. And so who takes care of all that content? In many cases, the answer is no one. And that's where content strategy comes in. It is the planning, creation, delivery, and governance of content as an important business asset. A really great way to think about content strategy is we're kind of the librarians of digital content. So we're not writing the words, but we're helping people to do that. And we're thinking about how are the words going to get there? Are we going to use a content management system? How should content be delivered, you know? And then the governance piece is really important. That's caring for that content, taking time to inventory the content we have. You have to know what you have before you can make decisions about it. Auditing the content, so it kind of acts as some quality control. Is our content up to date? Is it accurate? So those are the ways we think about content as a content strategist. And this definition comes from Christina Halverson. She really is considered kind of the founder of content strategy. So you can't go wrong looking her up and following her models. What does content strategy do? Now that we kind of know what it is, one of the primary things content strategy does is unite these two sides. We heard from a lot of really great people tonight about empathy and user needs, right? We're thinking about the users and their needs. However, we also have business goals. And if we don't meet business goals, none of us get paid. And so content strategy really works in that sweet spot. You know, because it can happen. You can unite the user needs with business goals. An example of this might be your legal department comes to you and they have a big, long, scary disclaimer about privacy rights or something that they insist must be prominently placed on your website. You know, you look at that thing and you go, my gosh, that's going to scare people away. It's going to drive people away from our site, right? But content strategy would then sit down and work with the two sides and figure out how can we do this in a way that we're meeting both of our goals. One of the other key things content strategy does is brings alignment and consistency. And that's where I think content strategy works in a little bit of a different space than you know, the very user-focused ends of things, design and UX, and that content strategists actually serve those are our users too. It might be tech, it might be stakeholders, but and we work in that space by making sure that we're all agreed on what we're doing and how we're thinking about things. You know, how do we want to talk to our users? And consistency, we're all thinking about things the same way. And consistency breeds trust too. If we make sure that we're talking to our clients and customers in the same way, they know that they can trust us. And another little good example of this is like, think about code like JavaScript. Everybody agrees that JavaScript needs to be written the same way, right? But one of the other main things content strategy does is make connections, facilitate conversations, ask smart questions, and generally try to connect the dots. And this is how it all kind of works together. We got our UX writers in the driver's seat, creating the great content strategy, helping them understand what we should be writing, information architects building the framework for where it all goes. And then it gets us all to what our users need at the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathleen. All right, and our final speaker for the night is Ian. Ian is going to be teaching us a little bit about conversational design. So Ian, by all means, whenever you're ready, go for it.
Great. Looks like Zoom is telling me I'm sharing my screen, so I'll assume that's true. Hi, everybody. My name is Ian. I am a conversational designer at Rocket. Great to connect with you all. And I also am based in Seattle. So if you want to hit me up for coffee, if you're in the Seattle area, I'm down for that. Or if you want to fly me to New Zealand, I can do that too. So yeah, let's talk about conversational design. First, I will just give you a little bit of information, about me, just as it's relevant to you. So I come from a non-tech background into tech. I studied English and creative writing in school. My first job out of tech was actually as an English teacher. Happy to talk about how to like take those experiences and put a tech twist on them as you're looking for a role. Teach like some of the buzzwords you can use. And I've had experiences in startups and big companies alike. So I'm also happy to talk about like the differences between those two things. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. So let's talk a little bit about what is a conversation designer? What is this role? What is this subset of UX? Broadly speaking, conversation designers are people who own the user experience of virtual assistants. That is like the textbook definition. Now let's break down what is a virtual assistant. There's kind of three main rules that would categorize something as a virtual assistant. The first one is that language needs to be the primary input and output of the interface. So the user is either communicating with the interface through text or through speech, but it's language as opposed to clicks and other behaviors that can exist in digital spaces. Virtual assistants interact with users in back and forth turns, which is a principle of conversation. When I have a conversation with you, I say something and then you say something back, and then we move forward. And another key piece is that virtual assistants look to mimic natural language. So the point is that we're trying to make the computer adjust the computer to the person rather than making the person adjust to the computer in a good conversation system. A nice way to think about this is something that has some conversational components, something like Google search, right? I do put in language to trigger my search, but the resulting pages I look at aren't really like a virtual assistant. There's lots of different components in there. So Google search is, I don't work at Google, but I would expect is handled by a traditional UX team. However, if you've ever used Google Assistant or Siri or any of those virtual assistant products, those would be the kinds of products that a conversational designer would work on. So these are a couple examples. Basically, it can be chat or it can be voice. Those are the two main mediums. Sometimes those are, you can have, there's new like technologies with Echo Show and stuff that have some visual components as well, but the main interaction is language. So what do we do? What are we responsible for? I like to think of conversation design as sort of right in the middle of these four disciplines. And I stole this, so I will change the name of one of the disciplines. There's user experience design, UX writing or copywriting. This says product design. I would call it product strategy. And then a little bit about AI training and how AI systems work. And a conversation designer is going to touch a little bit of all of those things, depending on their role and how lean their team is. So just a really quick overview. Happy to go over this more in the breakout rooms. But on the strategic front, a conversation designer is very likely to be involved in cross-functional collaboration, working with other designers, working with product managers and engineers to create, products that meet business needs and user goals and are feasible to build. That's a successful product. And also defining success metrics on the product. Because every turn is a data point, it's very nice, easy to be able to see what people are doing in their behaviors in a conversational system. The writing responsibilities on the micro level, you're actually going to write prompts for each turn. You're going to tell the system what to say. There's a certain kind of strategy and discipline to learning how to write for conversational interfaces. And then the emergent property out of that is also defining a persona for your bot or your virtual assistant. The more it speaks, the more it has a personality, the more people will feel that it has a personality. You're responsible for both of those things. On the UX front, there's the actual artifacts we make. Those can range from low fidelity to just sample dialogues all the way to fully interactive conversational prototypes. There's tools to do that, sort of like Figma equivalents for conversation design. And then if you're on a lean team, also running user and usability tests of those systems with those prototypes is something you might touch. And AI training responsibilities is really just about when we collect data and we know that we're seeing things that people are saying, those are called utterances that aren't fitting into what our bot's expecting, mapping those to the right places. So it sounds very technical, but it's actually not. If you can just look at some sentences and be like, oh, I think this person is trying to do this, you are set up to do the AI training for conversation design. So in summary, it's a great place for language nerds and people who are interested in AI and language. Happy to talk more in the breakout rooms. That's it for me.
Thanks so much, Ian. Gonna give you a little clap. All of you, you all did amazing. Thank you for teaching us a little bit about some of the paths. With that, we are just a little bit over time for lightning talks. So I'm going to stop the recording or pause the recording. Stop the recording, I'll pause. All right, so we have another question in the chat. Let me see. For UX design, what's your favorite platform to create wireframes on?
Ooh. Mamzi, you want to take this one?
Yeah, Figma.
Okay.
Yeah, Figma is way ahead in terms of the tools, I think. So.
Mamzi, what I was going to say, what my favorite tool is Axure.
Axure.
Yes, I'm sure. Me and Fred are in the same boat, but yeah, Figma is a really good tool. They've made a lot of good updates, and it's also a really great collaboration tool. So it's easier for you to work with other people on Figma. I would second that.
All right, there's another question for you, Ian. How can you exactly relate an art teaching background with a UX field in your resume?
Yeah.
Like you said, how can you connect such fields technically?
Yeah, this is a super good question. So I think, there's a couple principles of user experience design that I think are actually very applicable to teaching, or if you're doing teaching in a kind of way, you create, the way I like to think about it, when I was teaching, is I would create lesson plans. That was my product. I would deliver those lessons to my students. I would get very direct, immediate user feedback from those students. And then I would iterate on the lesson, right? And I would try to correct it. And other techniques you might use in your classroom are big buzzwords in the UX industry. Do you gamify your lessons? I remember when I taught English in France, and we did a lot of vocabulary Jeopardy. That's gamification, right? That's presenting the content in a way that's, more what that user group is looking for. So if you can frame your teaching experience that way, and you can even use some of those lessons as portfolio pieces that I have seen people get UX jobs that way. And that really like applies to any field, like anything where you like do something and then people react to it and then you change what you're doing based off of that reaction. If you can frame that narrative, that is the fundamental skill that I think most people hiring for UX are going to look for. And that's the hardest thing to learn. And you know, the visual, whatever visual design or whatever prototyping you need to do, like that's more teachable than that sort of design thinking process. So.
Okay, and then I think just one more question for the night comes from Lauren. I'm at the stage where I'm just considering UX as a career, currently working as a digital content editor with a background in science for an ed tech company. What do you recommend I do first to make the switch? Lauren, would you mind letting us know sort of like what discipline you're looking to switch into?
Sorry, yeah, sure. I'm the one from New Zealand, so my accent might sound funny. That question was mostly directed to the UX design Khyati. Sorry, I forgot how to pronounce, and also the UX writer field. So either one, feel free to jump in.
Okay, I can speak to it a little bit. If you are getting into design, I think again, the first thing is like what skills you have as a content editor that can be transferred to UX design. A lot of it would be when you're doing digital content editing. I'm sure you're thinking about like what the purpose of that is, what the goals of your project are, and who is going to be who's your audience. So you would basically try to get more into understanding your audience and articulate that when you're talking to maybe prospective interviewers or companies about that particular skill of yours. Like, hey, I understand my audience and I write for my audience. And if from a learning perspective, you may ask like, how you can up level in the direction of design, reading some of the books recommended in the chat, doing like, if a certification is the way that you feel comfortable going, that is also a good way to kind of get acquainted to UX. And learning more about user research and how to transform user research into design would be like the first few things that I would do if I was changing my career entirely. But I think from your background, a lot of your skills will be very transferable. So you can start there and then kind of make your path forward.
Thank you.
Sure. Does anyone else want to add anything to that?
I would just say like experiment with projects because people expect case studies. So I'm not saying that you have to build like a fully functional prototype or design, but still experimenting with anything, any idea which you might have. Yeah, just starting with that to learn the tool itself. That would be like a great way to learn. Yeah, just on top of what Khyati mentioned.
I have another question actually for Cathleen about content strategy, or Chrissy, either one of you can share your answers. But it also kind of feels like conversational design, where I don't know that there is a major that you can go to at a university for content strategy. So how do you get into content strategy? Are there certificates that you can, certificate programs that you can take like there are right now for UX writing?
Not that I'm aware of. Yeah, it's just like going to confab, I guess, and follow, yeah, it is definitely a practice field, right? You just get into it and do it.
Vanetta, did you have a question? I see your hand as well.
Yeah, I just missed that part though. So did someone ask about UX writing courses?
Oh, there's a wonderful amount of those nowadays.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I
Even
missed it. What was the question about? Sorry.
It was how to get into content strategy. Are there certificates,
Oh,
courses that people can take? Seems to
okay.
me the answer is no.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know that part. Yeah.
That's
Sounds
okay.
like a business opportunity, Kathleen. Just saying.
yeah. Well, it's been really, really interesting, since I got into this in 2012, how many, it's been great watching the programs growing up around this, because it used to all be, right? You just learned, you just went and you started working with a UX designer or somebody, and you just learned it, on the fly. But now, the master's degree programs that are coming out for things and that, but yeah, nothing for content strategy just yet.
So there was another question. If you'd like to come off mute and just ask, that's totally fine. But it was about creating a portfolio without any work experience. Was there a specific discipline you wanted to ask that to? UX design? Okay.
I
I'm
could
sorry,
give,
go ahead.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna just ask to repeat the question, sorry.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, how can you create a portfolio if you don't have any work experience?
That's a question which I get every day. I think there are a few ways to do that. Like I mentioned, like pick any idea which you might be having for your startup or like a business idea, whatever it is, right? Pick something if you don't have one. And there are also like these volunteering design projects, like which are coming up nowadays, where you can go to these volunteering websites where nonprofits are looking for designers. So you can pick one project, you can start working on that so that you can get some experience. Or maybe the other way is if you see a problem in existing websites or products which you feel like you can change some of that. Maybe you don't like Facebook, right? Because of some reason, maybe you try to change that. Yeah, just redesign that and see how you can bring in your experience and all of that. So that's one more way. And it's really tough. Yeah, this is something which people expect, like from design students who are coming out of college. You have those school-related projects, but they don't really actually work in like real life. But you still need some kind of a project to showcase in your portfolio.
I have one additional thought on this, and then I have to bounce. Sorry to jump in. If you do one of those like website redesigns or app rewrites or whatever, totally appropriate way to go. Just make sure you're framing it from like you're actually solving a problem, as opposed to like, I just didn't like how this looked.
Yes.
So make sure you're like, hey, I would hypothesize that this has a problem with, this onboarding flow, I think people drop out of it. And so I redesigned it to make it condensed. If you're like tie it to a business problem is really just the big thing I would do. But if you can do that, like that's a great thing to do if you don't have experience. But I've seen a lot of portfolios where somebody just redid something to redo it. And that's generally not very successful.
Yeah, not the visual design part. Think about like the problem or the goal you're trying to solve, like Ian mentioned. Yep.
Yeah. I have to drop. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Ian.
Also, Vamsi mentioned in our breakout room, I think it was a breakout room conversation, that you can actually just, if you identify a problem with a common tool that everyone uses, say pick like Facebook and Instagram or something like that. And if you recognize a problem that's common between you, maybe your friends, family, like people you can, reach and get information from, just read how to do, basic user research and, kind of do like a mock process of your own and go through the actual process, learn about that problem from your users. What problem are they having? Like for my mom, sometimes it's hard for her to find where the clock is on her phone. that's maybe a problem that more people my mom's age might have. So I reach out to my uncles and aunts and kind of have them use, the application and be like, if they're able to find it. So you can create these mock scenarios yourself and actually do some real work and then present a solution, because it's not really about the solution always. It's about like understanding and articulating how you're understanding the problem and translating it into a design solution.
I'm just going to add one more thing in there. So whatever you're redesigning, there are examples of how things work on their website or on that app. Gather examples of the way that things are working to show that like you're maintaining consistency or that you are following a similar rationale that you assume that they're following, right? Instead of just like, and this is how I made this thing. It's like, well, what sort of assets or what sort of examples from that company, from that brand, from that app are you using to defend the reasons why you did things a certain way? Well, I'm going to stop recording here because it sounds like we've got all of the questions in. Thanks so much for joining, y'all. And I'm just going to post a few more of the links to everybody's LinkedIn so you can connect with all of our speakers today. And if you have more questions, feel free to message them on LinkedIn. And again, like I said, Rocket is hiring. So if you are looking for a job, check out their design careers page.